Morning, everyone. Everyone, everywhere, as they say. I'm Reverend Debbie, and it is my privilege to preside this morning. And so, here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Minneapolis, this center is based on the fundamental truth that there is a power for good in the universe, and you can consciously use it. And that takes us to our mission, which is to teach, demonstrate, and inspire that positive spiritual approach to living. So I want to welcome everyone here, everyone there. And I'm just feeling really blessed this morning. And so with that, I'm going to add to the blessings and invite Claire to come up and open us up with song.
Magically, the words appear.
All right.
No excuse not to sing. Do you know this song? Have you sung this before, ever?
I think so.
Yep. So we don't need to do any short tutorials?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, we're good. Unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free. I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free. I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free. I am unlimited. Right now, right now. You are free. You are unlimited. There are no chains that bind you. You are free. You are unlimited. Right now, right now. You are free. You are unlimited. There are no chains that bind you. You are free. You are unlimited. Right now, right now. We are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited. Right now, right now. We are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited. Right now, right now.
Okay, we're sounding good today. Now, I'd like you to join me for an opening prayer. So if you could just sort of get comfy. Not that we're going to be a long time, okay? Don't freak out on me. But if you could just take a wonderful breath. Let us just all take one of those breaths, that conscious breath that just sort of like fills us up and it feels so good. In this moment, as I become totally present in the here and the now, I acknowledge the oneness of all, knowing that there is only one divine intelligence, one universal one, and is that one which I call God, but goes by many names. That is everywhere present. There is no place where it is not. And I give thanks for that truth. I give thanks for that divine partnership with the one. And I claim, right here and right now, I claim and invite you to join me if it works for you. I claim peace, the center of my being. And I allow that peace to fill me, to move beyond me. I claim that the peace that I am supports a greater expression and experience of peace throughout the world. I let go of any fears, worries, or doubts, and I step into that knowing of peace. And I give such thanks for being able to put my peace into that cosmic soup. I give thanks for all that has been, all that is, all that will be. I give thanks for peace on earth despite appearances. And I just allow life to flow easily and gently. I release this word knowing that God is always doing the heavy lifting when I am willing to let it. And I let it now. And so it is. Thank you for that. And now we've got a group reading. Here we go. Join me. I am ready to deepen my conviction in the power and presence for good. I am ready to apply it in my daily life. I am ready to receive God's highest blessing. I am ready to live from a higher level of beingness. I am ready to be a transformative light in the world. And so it is. Yeah, how about that for some power? Now I'm going to invite Chris to come up. Here at this center, we acknowledge that there's only one, but there are many paths and names to that one. And we know it is that one that unifies us, does not define us. So join me as we acknowledge some of the more major religions. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. And we light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. And now I'd like to invite you all to just acknowledge that flame within, that power and that love and the peace at the very heart of us as we honor the metaphysical path to wholeness, to oneness, to healing through the use of spiritual laws. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. That felt good. All right, inspirational reading. Practitioner Celeste.
Good morning, everyone. Today's reading is from The Power of Commitment, Douglas M. Yeaman. Do we know that? I don't know. Okay. He writes, when Susan Bradford came into the kitchen one very windy morning to make breakfast for herself and her 3-year-old daughter, Amanda, she found the child lying semi-conscious on the floor. Amanda had been awakened by a now receding storm, and unknown to her mother had come to the kitchen to play. An open, empty pill bottle lying beside the little girl told the rest of the story. Susan quickly read the label on the bottle, which said that death from overdosing could occur within a half an hour of loss of consciousness. Having no pockets in her short negligee, Susan clutched the empty bottle in her hand, scooped Amanda into her arms, and ran to the car. The car would not start. Susan dashed to the house to call a neighbor. The telephone was dead. Local service had been disrupted by a fallen tree. Susan raced to the car, grabbed her unconscious child, and ran to the nearby freeway. Although scantily clad with her hair still in curlers, she was unconcerned about either the cold wind or her appearance. She climbed over the fence, crossed to the center of the freeway, set Amanda down on the medium strip, and stepped into the fast lane to wave down a car. She got a ride immediately, and Amanda was at the nearest hospital emergency room a few minutes later. When asked afterward what she would have done if nobody had stopped to help her, Susan said, "I'd have undressed, laid down in the freeway, whatever it took until somebody did stop." She added, "I saw myself in the hospital emergency room with Amanda the moment that I read the label. It never occurred to me that I wouldn't make it. I didn't think about anything else but getting there. I just did whatever I had to do until that's where I was. Thousands of mothers and fathers have faced similar experiences with poisoned and severely injured children, and their stories are essentially the same. Nothing was allowed to be in the way of their commitment to get immediate emergency aid. That is the power of commitment, the power that creates the result you want no matter what. This power, though no more visible than electric current, is observable in the lives of committed individuals. And like electricity, it can produce measurable results. On several occasions, for instance, mothers weighing no more than 120 pounds have lifted the corner of an automobile off the ground in their commitment to rescue a child caught underneath. The power of commitment is resident in all of us, but we rarely resource it other than in times of crisis. Many of us assume that it is only available at such times. This assumption deprives us from accessing the power of commitment as the framework of all of our experience and limits us to fleeting moments rather than sustained episodes of magnificent self-fulfillment. The commitment that empowers a few to lift automobiles can empower you to transform any unsatisfactory aspect of your life. If you are willing to change the assumptions that currently commit you to produce your distractions, dissatisfaction. Let me read that again, because it's actually a very important statement. The commitment that empowers a few to lift automobiles can empower you to transform any unsatisfactory aspect of your life. If you are willing to change the assumptions that currently commit you to produce your dissatisfaction, thousands of individuals have transformed their relationships, their work, their personal well-being by accessing the power of commitment. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Celeste. And now, we get a song.
Well, you haven't heard it yet. So I love the story of The Wizard of Oz. And there are so many messages within the unfolding of that. And the one song that always stands out to me is the one I'm going to sing today. The song that the Scarecrow and the Lion and the Tin Man sang. They were looking outside themselves for what they wanted to be or to be able to do. And in the end, they found the power and the commitment was always within. And that's why I chose this song today, If I Only Had a Brain.
Away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain. With the thoughts I'd be thinking I could be another Lincoln if I only had a brain. I'd unravel every riddle for any individual in trouble or in pain. Head I'd be scratching while my thoughts were busy hatching if I only had a brain. Oh, I could tell you why the ocean's near the shore. I could think of things I never thunk before, and then I would sit and think some more. I would not be just a nut in my head or full of stuffing, my heart all full of pain. I would laugh and be merry, life would be a ding and dairy if I only had a brain. man's an empty kettle. He should be on his mettle, but yet I'm torn apart. Just because I'm presuming that I could be kinda human if I only had a heart. I'd be tender, I'd be gentle, and awfully sentimental regarding love and art. I'd be friends with the sparrows and the boy who shoots the arrows if I only had a heart. Picture me a balcony above a voice sings low. Wherefore art thou, Romeo? I hear repeat. How sweet just to register emotion, jealousy, devotion, and really feel the part. I would stay young and chipper, and I'd lock it with a zipper if I only had a heart. Life is sad, believe me, missy, when you're born to be a sissy without the vim and voive. But I would show my prowess, be a lion, not a mouse, if I only had the noise. I'm afraid there's no denying I'm just a dandelion, afraid I don't deserve. I'd be brave as a blizzard, gentle as a lizard, clever as a gizzard, if the wizard is a wizard who will serve. Then I'm sure to get a brain, a heart, a home, the noive.
How fun is that? Woo. Okay. Now, main act, Reverend Joanne.
Thank you. That was a joyful little ditty. Hadn't heard that in a while. Thank you. And thank you for doing your job, Debbie, so faithfully, and for the reading that Celeste stepped in and did for us, and for Chris for lighting the candles. I took a picture of that, a video, didn't I? Yeah. So anyway, this month we're talking about the importance of commitment. And I got to repeat what William Hutchinson Murray said. Remember, he's the mountaineer from Scotland, and he said, the moment I shouldn't write these things in shorthand. The moment we definitely commit, then providence moves too. The moment we definitely commit to something, then doors will open. God will be there to uplift us. William Hutchinson Murray. So what do we do when we commit? We're touching in then to that inner self, that creator that created everything and everyone, that creator that experiences life in, through, and as us. We're touching into that when we make this commitment, and that's when these things happen that some people call miracles. One of the pioneers of what we call New Thought, Ralph Waldo Trine, says, "For what, let us ask, is a miracle? Is it something supernatural? It is supernatural only in the sense of being above the natural, or rather above that which is natural to man in his ordinary state. A miracle is nothing more or less than this." And so when people don't really know about that power within, and they see some kind of, well, some of the stuff that Celeste was reading about this morning, it seems like a miracle. And in our circles, we say, "Oh, how usual." We expect these things to happen because we know we've got this power within and we can speak our word and good can happen. But sometimes we can misunderstand. There can be misunderstanding about what is exactly a miracle. There's a story about a young nun, and she was a home health aide. She would go from home to home and help people with their needs. And she would drive into her appointment, and she runs out of gas. So she's pretty close to a gas station. And so she just walks up to the gas station, and she says, I need a gas can, and I'm going to walk back to my car and put some gas in. Well, he said, guy just came in, took our last gas can. He'll be back, if you want to wait. No, she couldn't wait. She had people to serve. So she thought, well, I'm going to go back to the car. Maybe there's something in the car that I can use as a container. So she goes to the car. She goes in the trunk. She finds a bedpan. Goes back to the gas station, fills the bedpan. Now, I understand. I thought bedpans were just flat, but now apparently they're bedpans that are kind of round, so you can carry gasoline in them. So she goes to the gas station with this bedpan. She fills it with gasoline. She goes back to her car, and as she's putting this gasoline from the bedpan into her car, there's a car that was slowly pulled up next to her, and two men were watching her do this. And one of them turned to the other guy, and he says, I know it said that Jesus performed miracles like turning water into wine, but if that car starts, I'll be a believer for the rest of my life. So sometimes it's a very natural thing that happens that people tend to call a miracle. Could be a miracle is just changing our consciousness from what we deem to be impossible to looking at it as possibilities. I like to remember we live in a sea of possibilities. We really do, and we have a power that we can call on. There's evidence scientifically of what we call miracles. In 1970, a guy by the name of Carol Simonton, he was a radiation oncologist at Travis Air Force Base in Texas, and he had been working with people with tumors, and they dissipated, and then all of a sudden they started coming back. And he's like, what's up with this? Something's going on. And he thought to himself, well, it has to be something psychological that's going on. And so he started working with imagery and deep relaxation. And do you remember the Pac-Man games? Chris does. She was a master at Pac-Man. But the Pac-Man little guy was going after somebody. And in his visualizations, the good cells were going after the bad cells to destroy the bad cells. That's kind of what he was doing. And it was very significant. It was having a significant effect on these people he was working with. And it made a difference. But the medical arena was not in the 1970s ready to embrace this. And so it kind of sat on the shelf for a while. Then about a decade later, somebody else took an interest in it. And the guy's name was Gerald Jampolsky. Maybe you know that name. I knew it because I read one of his books called Love is Letting Go of Fear. And he was the director of the Center for Attitudinal Healing in California. And he really felt that this idea of using imagery and having people take responsibility for their own bodies, their own life, was going to make a difference. And last week, Debbie talked about the point of no return with your commitment. Remember that? And some of the things that happen is that it will help you manage your fear, it'll help you focus on your efforts, and it will have you take full responsibility for yourself and your experience. And he thought that taking full responsibility was a really important thing because, so many of us rely on what the doctor tells us. And I'll tell you a story later how I relied on what a doctor told me and then found out that, maybe that wasn't quite the right diagnosis. But anyway, what he did then is he took a group of children children that had been diagnosed with terminal illnesses like cancer and heart disease and leukemia, whatever other terminal diseases they had. They'd been, 36 kids had been sent home to die, told, their parents, they probably got about 6 months. We have nothing we can help them with. They're going to die. And so he went with this group, and he thought to himself, well, what if they learned how to take responsibility for their own lives instead of, okay, the doctor said we're going to die, our parents said we're going to die. What if they said, what about me? Don't I have a say in my own life? And so he was teaching them about the Pac-Man stuff. He was doing relaxation with them. He was doing some artwork with them, self-expressive activities, inspiring and supportive stuff for them. He's working with the kids in this way. And all the while, the kids were still working with their doctors and doing what they were told to do on that front as well. So as he did this, he was telling these kids, you can take responsibility for your part in this. Yes, the doctor told you this, your parents told you this, but now you. How about you? And he put the emphasis on quality of life, not quantity, not how long you're going to live, but how well you're going to live. And these kids got into it. And the gist of the story is every single one of those children lived. It's in the book. This book on commitment that Celeste read from. And it says in that book that a couple years later, these kids appeared on Phil Donahue's show. Some people don't remember Phil Donahue. He was old. But he was like Oprah, and so he'd have people on. He had these kids on, and this was 2 years after they were supposed to be dead, and they were there, they were happy, and they had really good attitudes. They weren't saying, yes, can you believe my parents? Can you believe the doctors? They didn't do that. They didn't take that attitude. They were just grateful for their lives, and isn't that a great story? I mean, just makes the hair on my arm stand up. There's another book that I read called A Book of Miracles by Bernie Siegel. Some of you have probably read some of his stuff. And he gives examples, and a lot of his examples have to do with a shift that takes place, a shift that leaves people with a feeling of peace, a feeling of calmness, a feeling of wellness, a feeling of unconditional love. That kind of stuff. There's several stories in his book. I think I based several sermons on that book a few years ago. It just had so much good stuff, and it reminds me of when my dad died and the experience my mom had. Us kids were up there, and we, clean out the closet and write the thank you notes and just spend some time together with my mom. And a couple years later, I said to my mom, you didn't seem to go through that horrible grieving process that a lot of your relatives and sisters-in-law did, where they, walked around ashen. It seemed like for years they were just beside themselves when they lost their partner. And granted, in those days, a lot of us lived on a farm, and our parents spent 24 hours a day together, so they were together a lot, and there was a real feeling of loss, and my mom and dad spent all the time together too. And I said, you didn't seem to go through that. And she said, and she didn't tell me this, I had to kind of ask her about it. She said, well, the day you guys all left, I'm in the house alone for the first time. She said, I walked from the kitchen to the living room, and I said out loud to myself, what am I gonna do now? I can just hear her voice saying that. What am I going to do now? And she said, just as she said that, she said, a wave of peace came over me. She said, I just knew right away, this is the peace that passes all understanding. She said that peace came over me, and it never left me. Never left me. And what a wonderful blessing that was. So anyway, he tells examples like that too, where this happens. Now, there's this lady named Natalie Palmer and she was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And a week after the diagnosis, she was in the shower and she's doubled over in pain. Just all of a sudden, she just doubled over in pain. And at that same time, a feeling of peace washed over her. Now, she didn't know my mother, so they weren't in cahoots on this story, but a feeling of peace washed over her. And she said, I felt peaceful, I felt calm, I felt a sense of forgiveness for myself and others. She said it was just a real shift that went on. And I believe, as I read that book, it seems to me when she was telling the story, she felt she audibly heard a voice saying to her, "You're going to be okay." And so she lived the rest of her life. She committed herself at that time to better self-care, diet and exercise and prayer and meditation, forgiveness of herself and everybody else, and she became a survivor. Isn't this great? I mean, these things really happen. And I'm going to just tell you a story that happened to me. And it's probably 15 years ago, and I developed this little spot on my lip. It looked like a blood blister. And it was kind of growing, and people started saying, "What's that on your lip?" They'd ask about it. I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't fun, walking around with this thing on my lip that people are asking about. And so I went to a dermatologist, and she had a scientific name for it. I can't remember what she called it, but she said, it's the kind of thing that goes really deep. And if we'd cut it out, you'd look worse than you do today. Very encouraging. And so I elected not to have her do any cutting. And I thought, well, I guess it's just something I'm going to have to live with. But I didn't like it. I could, it's getting bigger. I could kind of feel it just when I sat, I could feel it on my upper lip. I'm thinking, I don't like this. So I sat down one day in my living room and had a little talk with God. And I said, in the grand scheme of things, I know this is really nothing. But yet, I recall reading somewhere, probably in the Bible somewhere, there's no big or little with God. It's all the same. I think there's a song like that. It's all the same to me. And so I said, I just prayed. I said, I know it's a little thing, but I know that I've got that power of that very creator that created, that's within me. I'm just going to speak my words right here and right now that this little sucker gets dissipated to its nothingness somehow, some way. And I just let it go. I thought, well, I did. I spoke my piece, said my word. So the next day, I'm taking my mother to a dermatologist in Cambridge, Minnesota. Neither of us had ever been to this guy before, but as people get older, they get these moles and marks, whatever, on their face, and they like to check to make sure they're not cancerous. So she was going to get some of these things checked out. So we go to Cambridge and we go to the first floor, and she signs up, and go up to the second floor and see this dermatologist, and he gets out his little gun and he's zapping things all over the place. He's freezing or burning or whatever they do, and takes care of her. And I'm just sitting there watching, and he gets done and he looks at me and he says, "What's that on your lip?" And I said, well, dermatologist said it's some kind of thing that's really deep, and she didn't think it would be a good idea to operate on it, blah, blah, blah. He said, he's sitting on this little rolling chair, and he said, "Can I look at it? Can I touch it?" And he rolls his little chair over by me, and he said, "I don't like to disagree with my cohorts, but," he said, "I think it's such and such and so, and I think I can take care of that in about 15 minutes. So I went downstairs, signed up, came back up, had him do his zapping, whatever he was doing, dissipated to its nothingness, just like that. Hey, yeah, and oh, how usual, how usual. I just spoke my word, and that's what happened. So I want to leave you with some ideas for some homework, some questions you might want to consider when you think about, for instance, how these 37 little kids got committed. What if we got committed in different areas of our life? What if we got committed in a relationship that's difficult, and we made a commitment to heal that relationship, to have a better relationship? What if we did that? How would that change your life? How about physically? If we changed our mind about how we take care of our bodies physically, and we did that with the kind of commitment that these 37 kids did. Let's think about that for your homework. And remember that when we make a commitment, oftentimes we're all gung-ho. I'm going to do this. This is a great idea. We're all gung-ho. And then, as time passes, kind of loses its appeal or its interest for us, and we simply forget about it. And I love this quote by Howard Thurman. He's an author of The Inward Journey. And here's what he says about it. And right after I do this, then we'll go into a spiritual mind treatment. So, despite the dullness and barrenness of the days that pass, if I search with due diligence, I can always find a deposit left by some former radiance. But I had forgotten. At the time it was full-orbed, glorious, and resplendent. I was sure I would never forget. In the moment of its fullness, I was sure that it would illumine my path for the rest of my journey. I had forgotten how easy it is to forget. There was no intent to betray what seemed so sure at the time. My response was whole, clean, authentic. But little by little, there crept in the dust and the grit of the journey. Details, lower level demands, all kinds of cross currents, nothing momentous, nothing overwhelming, nothing flagrant, just wear and tear. If there had been some direct challenge, clear-cut issue, I would have fought it to the end and beyond. But a lot of times it's the dust and grit of the journey, and we forget. So, in the quietness of this place, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of God, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in fair weather or foul, in good times or in tempest, in the days when the darkness and the foe are nameless or familiar, I may not forget that to which my life is committed. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. That is Howard Thurman. And I would invite you now to get comfortable where you're sitting, and I'm going to do a spiritual mind treatment. Spiritual mind treatment is nothing more than an affirmative prayer. I'm going to say it in first person as though it's just for me, but it is also for you. And I know there is but one power in the universe. That power has a perfect solution to any perceived dilemma in life. That power is love and peace and joy, balance, order. It is all good. And it experiences life in, through, and as its creation, in, through, and as me, in, through, and as everyone. And even though I sometimes forget that I'm not alone. Sometimes I feel alone. I now remember I have a partner, a perfect power within, perfect power that lives, moves, and has its being within me. And I can speak my word with authority and declare as those children declared, that we're responsible. We want to live. Or shift like the woman that Bernie Siegel talked about, where she was just overcome with peace and calmness and unconditional love, forgiveness, and healing. And I, too, can speak my word for the highest and best in every situation. And in this remembrance, I am grateful. Grateful that this is the way the law works. I speak my word, and it is done unto me as I believe. And I release these words now for perfect manifestation. So it is.
I've never seen the movie. Ah, there we are. All 5 of me. I've never seen the movie Smallfoot, but this song came from that movie. And I fell in love with it because it just speaks of the power of commitment, of enthusiasm, of continuing to use your life to seek out new miracles and to see the miracles before you. It's called Wonderful Life.
Take a look around and see a world we think we know. Then look closer. There's more to life than meets the eye, a beauty to behold. So much bigger than we know. It's only just beginning to unfold. So let it all unfold. Far beyond all reason in your mind, there's a world mysterious there for you to find. All these questions that we always have, are we always curious? Nothing wrong with that. So go around every corner, search every part of the sky. Life that's full of wonder is a wonderful life. Dig beneath the surface, find the lessons there to learn. Then dig deeper. Freedom, intuition, don't leave any stone unturned. Be the seeker of the truth. Listen when you hear it calling you. You know it's calling you. Far beyond all reason in your mind, there's a world mysterious there for you to find. All these questions that we always have, are we always curious? Nothing wrong with that. So go round every corner, search every part of the sky. Life that's full of wonder is a wonderful life. That's full of wonder is a wonderful life. That's full of wonder is a wonderful life.
Feels good, doesn't it? All right. Now is our time for conscious giving. And I say conscious because it's about giving from that place of knowing our good, knowing our source, and knowing that it's coming back. So let's put our hands over our hearts or on our envelope or however you choose, and let us just allow this to go out into the world and do good. And breathe in some of those lovely vibes as they come back, because it goes out with love. And it always comes back full, running over, and in joyous ways. And that is the truth.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
I want to tell you that we are grateful for the gifts and we're grateful for the givers. And this lovely lady here, she is part of our Abundance Consciousness group that we are in week 4, I think it's 5. No, week 5. We're in week 5. And she's got some wonderfulness to share with you because we are focusing on that whole idea of knowing there is a greater good and I ought to have it. So here we go.
Well, I was just sharing with Reverend Debbie when I came in this morning that something really unexpected came my way. And some years ago, I lived in an apartment building in St. Anthony Village. And with the ever-increasing rent, there was a third party that took care of the utilities, so we'd have to pay that third party. Well, it turns out all these years later, I got a surprising check in the mail from St. Anthony, that apartment building, that the third party was overcharging us. So there was a refund of like $755. So very nice. And I tithe 10%.
It's always so fun to see how it comes back, isn't it? It's just so fun. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. Gifts. We've got a gift for you, and that is a gift of prayer. If there is something you would like support on, you can fill out a prayer request. You can go online and fill out a prayer request. You can meet with a practitioner here after the service. A one-on-one prayer is something that's truly magnificent to share. So with us today, we've got Reverend Joanne, Reverend Sherry, Practitioner Dee, Practitioner Celeste. We have Jeff. We have myself. I don't think I've missed anyone. Yay. And we are all available to do prayer work. And also, if there is something going on in your world that you would either like support on from the community or celebration from the community, we are adding that to our newsletter as well as to our Sunday announcements. So you can either send a note to info@cslminneapolis.org, or you can go to the prayer page and put a note that you would like this to be shared with the community. And the community will have your back. So there's that. Our Consciousness of Abundance class is week 5, so we're closed for new folks, but look forward to more sharing and more excitement because we're having a really good time supporting each other in that truth that God is truly our source, and that's that truth. And we've got a book study that's starting again. Come on up, Celeste.
Okay. So, I thought it would be a good idea for our next book to be something that can kind of anchor us in the basics of this philosophy. as part of our daily spiritual lives, especially as we're going into the holidays. So a little kind of refresher course as we go into this part of the year. So I have chosen the book, The Basic Ideas of Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. It's kind of a condensed version of the greater big book. And it'll give us the tools we need in our toolbox to create the experiences we choose to have over these coming weeks. So join me beginning Thursday, November 9th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time via Zoom for Basic Ideas of Science of Mind. We will spend about 6 weeks with this book. We'll do 2 weeks in November, starting on the 9th, take Thanksgiving off, and then finish the book right before Christmas. So we'll have all our ducks in a row. Okay, for more information, email us at info@cslminneapolis.org, and everything I just told you will soon be on the website at cslminneapolis.org. That's it. If you have any questions, feel free to talk to me after service or look for the email that I'll send out talking about it and the information on the website. Thanks.
Thanks, Celeste. Okay, holidays, they're coming up. So next Sunday, Reverend Sherry is going to talk to us about that about Halloween. That's right. And masks and costumes are welcome. I just want to let everybody know that. We've got to, we're just big kids after all. So anyway, get your Halloween on and come and join us next Sunday. And the third Sunday in November is going to be Pumpkin Day around here. And next week I'll put up a sign-up sheet. We would love to have some folks join us in bringing something pumpkin that we can all share and get our sweet tooth ready for that Thursday. Oh yeah, it has to be store-bought around here because they have a food license, so we can't bring in homemade goodness. But anyway, so more to come on that. And any other announcements? Any other shares? All right, I'm going to pray us out. We're going to get blessed out. We're going to get sung out. And then we've got coffee and cookies. And you guys enjoy the sun today, right? In fact, I got up this morning. I had to check the spare room to make sure there wasn't a light on there. It was so bright. It was great. Okay, so here we go. Prayer out. Right here and right now, I just say thank you because my heart is full. My world is full. And I know that this gratitude, along with peace, love, and joy, just continues to build and to grow and to expand into a greater expression, not only of me, but of the world. And so join me as I just say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is.
And I'll leave you with this blessing. May you be at peace. May you know the beauty of your own true nature. May your heart be open. May you be healed. May you be blessed. Namaste.
Namaste.
I thought we might as well just continue with the Wizard of Oz theme, right?
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I dreamed of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. One day a wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me. apples melt like lemon drops way above the chimney tops. That's where your